Hello, everyone. Welcome to Snap Take. Happy Valentina and new patch day. We've got two huge things coming for you, which means we've got two huge videos coming for you. We're going to begin today by telling you all about Valentina and this week's Spotlight caches, and then later today, we'll be live with an OTA announcement analysis video. Make sure you check that out. We also have Snap Judgment's League Season 2 kicking off. This is a $700 tournament where you will be placed into a pod, play one game a week, then a top 8 within your pod. Winner of the pod moves on to a Winners League where they compete for even bigger prizes. This is your chance, dear viewer, to play with great creators like Lambie and Tucker and me. I'll be competing in the league this time, so please check that out. Signups N55. It costs you $1 to enter. It is a perk of the $1 Patreon tier. This way we don't get completely killed in terms of financing this league, but $1 for an amazing tournament that you have a chance to win a ton of money for is a great deal. Hopefully you check it out. All right, before we get to our new card, we like to always give you a deck to talk about, a deck to try out in case you decide you're not getting the new card. This is Paper's Pixie War. How you doing, Pape? Paper has built this deck. You can find some gameplay for it over on Paper's YouTube channel. You just type in Paper Snap. I believe it's Paper LOL on YouTube, but you can find Paper doing some gameplay for this list, and this list is very, very cool. This is a Pixie list through and through. I really like it because it's basically running all of that month's cards, or like most of that month's cards, in combination in a way that makes a lot of sense, and I like that they sort of did that all of these can be used together. All right, you can find Paper on twitch.tv/paper with 2 R's. Pixie, War Machine, Mockingbird are needed. Ham can be Iceman or Squirrel Girl. Ham is amazingly unimportant for this list. Mobius can be Cosmo Rogue. Mobius is really nice for that Pixie, but not required. You're perfectly capable of playing it. You're just going to have different snap equity without Mobius. So this is 60%, 48 and 21 in Paper's hands. In High Infinite, we're talking top 1,000 gameplay. I think top like 200 gameplay right now. Turn 1, you want Ham over Ant-Man. Turn 2 is Pixie. Once you play Pixie, though, the rest of this guide is useless because everything's going to be weird. You can also just drop Mysterio, perfectly fine without Pixie. Turn 3, Patriot versus Mobius, is if you play Pixie, you want Mobius. If not, you really, really want to get Patriot down where possible. If your pocket meta has a lot of Enchantress, obviously you will try and hold Patriot longer, but I'm not seeing a ton of Enchantress right now, so I think you should be relatively safe. Turn 4, you're aiming to get Mockingbird down. That's better than your turn 3 plays, which are generally better than 2/2s. Turn 5 is Blue Marvel or War Machine plus Ant-Man. War Machine plus Ant-Man usually means you're going to Infinite. You can also just play Blue Marvel and then go Valkyrie, a 1, and Wasp and win that way. If you Infinite, you're going to drop Wasp 2 that turn, but either way, that's how you win games with this deck. There is a ton of power. This is ultimately through and through a Pixie deck. It really, really wants to see the card Pixie on turn 2 or 3, get that down, and then sort of take off from there. It is capable of winning otherwise because Valkyrie is just straight up a cube stealer and Mockingbird is free power. But its big wins, its 8 cubers, come from Pixie. Quick Pixie pro tip, don't snap immediately upon Pixie. You will get free cubes by Pixieing and then waiting, and then if you act like you drew something big and then snap, your opponent's going to almost always run and you just get the free cubes, even if you just sort of drew crap. All right, we're on to Valentina. Valentina is our 430 spotlight card. She is a 2/3, Series 5, 6,000 token. What does Julia Louis-Dreyfus do? She is an on reveal. Add a random 6 cost card to your hand, give it -2 cost and -3 power. Pretty good, right? Random 6 cost? Well, it is. I think this is going to be a great card. I think this is in particular a great card in Loki. It's possible it goes other places. Not 100% sure, but it almost certainly goes in Loki if you like Loki. And hey, I've been saying for a while now, I think Loki is the best deck in Marvel Snap. If you'd like to check out some tournament gameplay, some tournament breakdown, check yesterday's video. If you want the gameplay, check It's Guess Gaming. He has gameplay for our tournament. Loki dominated the tournament, was all over the place. And the top 3 players right now on the Infinite Leaderboard, as of this recording, are all playing different variations of Loki. You can find in Sunday's video and earlier different variations of Loki. They're sitting at the top of ladder. So Loki is really great. If Valentina makes Loki better, we are in for a Loki meta. The Spotlight variants, for any of you who determined what to buy based on the variants, I actually like this Valentina a fair amount. I don't really open for Spotlight variants though, so meh. This Valentina is fine. Like it's there is no other Valentina though, so if you don't get this, you're probably not gonna have a Valentina variant unless there's one they haven't told us about. There is a patch coming, so it's entirely possible they patch in a Valentina to sell us tomorrow. This is Lucha Blob. I think it's pretty cool. I already have Handle Blob and I have Hip, so I don't need this. And I have a Jacinto and a Hip for Null. So while this Null is great, and I have Pixel, I guess. I don't really need a fourth Null variant, so I'm probably just going to either use tokens or just open with Valentina. That doesn't mean you should, though. I am a content creator, and therefore I have to get the new cards in order to be able to give you accurate reviews of them. Should you get Valentina is what we're going to examine. My answer, and again, your TLDR is if you love Loki. All right, so your synergies are, again, Loki. This is enabled by Luke and countered by Mobius. If you play Luke with this, then the card is not going to lose the power. Like the 6+ card will have its full power, but your opponent can play Mobius, and the card will then cost 6. Quinjet and Loki decks love this. So even if you're running Quinjet in anything, you go Quinjet Valentina, then you can play the card on turn 3. I think Dino and Sarah decks are really going to enjoy it for that reason. If you're running Luke, you might as well try this. There's very little reason not to. And it might just fit in good stuff because a 2/3 that can occasionally win you the game seems like a good thing. The cards are still really sick, so Kara will work to protect them, but Zabu will not. And this can, as far as we're aware, pull Agatha. If that changes, we'll let you know. But if it pulls Agatha, Agatha's just going to play herself as a 4/11 on turn 4, and that's still pretty good. If you have Quinjet, she'll even play herself immediately on turn 3. All right, Drewberry, the great and wonderful Drewberry, the king of unreleased Marvel Snap content, released this infographic on the 6s you can pull. So the 6s you can pull, and this is what their stats would be. Blob would be a 4 -3. That's probably terrible for you. Doom would be a 4/2, but still make 2 5/5s. Yeah, I'll take that. Odin, 4/5, that copies all the on reveals, probably okay. She-Hulk as a 4/7 seems really good. Scar as a 4/8 seems really good. Orca as a 4/8 with his ability seems good. Obviously, Red Hulk can still get huge. Magneto is still super disruptive. Like a 4/9, you're perfectly happy playing for Magneto and Hulk, and a 4/11 for Giganto is great. The others are situational or risky, so you're a little bit more likely to get something situational or risky, but a lot of these are still decent. Zol is pretty bad, right? Null, if you're playing against Destroy, is just going to be stellar. Leader, against a lot of decks, you'll play that -1 to get the extra power just fine for 4. Galactus is hilarious but not great. Hela is hilarious but not great. Spectrum as a 4/4 doesn't seem actually risky. It's just not always going to do much for you. If you've got any ongoings, though, it's still pretty good. Same thing for Onslaught, though it could, again, be largely useless. Apocalypse probably useless. Ultron could be fine to end the game to get some power in hard to reach locations, but usually useless. I think Goliath is just really good. Being able to do a 4/5 Goliath is going to be great if you can keep Prio. Heimdall has a chance to steal games, so does Living Tribunal, but meh. 4/7 is fine for Helicarrier. I see no downside really for the Helicarrier or Thanos. They're just not great. Agatha could ruin your life, but fine. Destroyer, if you're running Cosmo on the list, and a lot of Loki decks do run Cosmo, I would take that 4/13. Otherwise, you just don't play it. Although maybe you do play it with all the junk everywhere. And I will almost always, if I see Infinite pop out, skip turn 3 and then just play a 4/17 on turn 4. I think that's really good. That's where we are for this card. Again, mostly giving you really good stuff, especially in a Hela deck, where you don't have to play it, and if you don't like what you got, you just Loki it away. Did I say Hela deck? A Loki deck is what I meant, excuse me. All right, so Drewberry's Valentina. Again, Drewberry, the king of unreleased Marvel Snap content, has a video on Valentina out for a few days. This is, I think, the coolest list, the most different and interesting list. We'll look at the obvious stuff later. It's just a Valentina list that basically says, if I've got a bunch of extra energy and a bunch of extra power, I've got all these value cards to play. Quinjet's really good with Valentina. It's really good with Mirage. And everything else is just saying I've got good cards, and I'm going to play good at rate cards. This is all about getting, you guessed it, value out of the deck. And I think that's really cool. I think this has a chance to be a real deck. Next up, Docty. Docty is the most accurate, Drewberry is the king, but Docty is the most accurate predictor of Marvel Snap cards. Docty thinks that this is fundamentally only a Loki card, and this is a really cool and different Loki build. Docty decided to throw this into a Loki Pixie deck that's all about RNG. You can skip turns and play She-Hulk and grow that Sunspot, play that She-Hulk with that Devil Dino, make it huge, protect that She-Hulk, that Doom, that Valentina perfectly well. You can double up the card you get from Valentina if it's a good one with Moon Girl and just go off. Mobius is going to protect your cost reduction while annoying your opponents. Probably run Luke instead, but with Pixie, I guess Mobius has that extra value. I mean, you got Loki, because like, hey, oh no, it didn't come together, Loki, next. Seems really, really strong. This is a very cool list. This is really different. I like it a lot. Next up, we have Ankh. Ankh is a creator that's newer to me. I guess I should stop saying that. It's been a few weeks now, but still newer to me, that is doing new card content. This is Ankh's Toxic Tina. So it's Valentina, but toxic, right? So this is basically saying, well, I'm running Luke in my toxic decks anyway, and if I'm running Luke, Valentina is just basically pure value. That's it. Outside of that, it's your standard toxic Wong deck, trying to get a Wong Hazmat off, but it can also do various shenanigans with Onslaught as well, which I think is pretty damn cool. All right, next up, we have a straight up Valentina Loki. This is by Canadian Alfredo, our friend and Marvel Snap Zone writer, who's running the standard Loki. This list is based off of the current Tanjo list, which is at the top of the Infinite Leaderboard. It is saying basically, well, I guess I don't need Cable if I have Valentina. I think I'm probably running both in my Loki list, but Valentina is great. She is going to be a very important too in these like standard basic Loki lists. We also have Couple Steel. This is Obelisk. Obelisk is our friend you can find over on Twitch. Makes a lot of really cool decks. This is built more along the lines of the Crazy version, FAK Crazy, or Miley version of Loki, where we're running a lot of mill stuff. This one goes even further into the mill stuff with Absorbing Man. I think Valentina and Absorbing Man is kind of hilarious, and I really, really like that combo. You've got magic, so you've got the extra turns for the shenanigans. I love it. I really love this list. I think it's very cool. Again, you're stealing. You've got some couples. It's very cute. I like this list. I'm going to play it. We've got Finn Snap. Our friend Finn Snap built this Loki list ages ago, and I played it to really great effect, so I sort of have kept it floating around. This was the first thing I built when when Valentina was spoiled. This is one of the ways to play it. I'd probably cut Cull at this point, and I'd probably add Angela, honestly, for Cull. But I think the list is basically otherwise ready. It's running Luke because it says, you know what, I don't want to deal with your toxic bullshit. There's all this toxic stuff in the meta, and it benefits Valentina. Let's just go right around that with Luke. I like this list a lot. This will be one of the first I play. Speaking of decks that I'm definitely going to play, Skull Zero is a top 3 player right now on the Infinite Leaderboard and has been playing this list. I threw Valentina into it. I know that's shocking. I just decided that Valentina should be in one of the best Loki lists, and I bet you it works. I would bet almost anything that this is a really, really strong list. It's running 3 of the 4 strongest 2s in the game, the 4th being White Widow. As far as just general strength 2s, it's running 2 amazing 3s, and then it's just saying, I can beat you basically no matter what. Mockingbird gets cheaper for the Valentina card, along with the Cable, Snowguard, Loki, Coulson stuff as well. Finally, we have, I believe this is last. Oh no, we have one more after this. Crazy's Loki. This is that mill version I told you about earlier. This is fairly similar to the version we looked at earlier from Obelisk, but this is the one that Crazy is actually playing with, again, Valentina just added to the list. So I think Valentina is more than good enough to fit in this exact type of list. Oh no, we have 2 more, because I decided that why not try Valentina in a junk build? Sometimes it's just pure upside, right? Like, there's not super a downside to just running her in a good list. I feel like she's probably good with Beast. If you have to end up carnaging her, you're perfectly happy. Like, I think this is really good. I also like her because Cosmo's in this list, and if Cosmo's in this list and I get a card like Destroyer, I get something big early, I can go Valentina Cosmo into a big card, and that seems really good. I think that it has a home in this Johnson list. And lastly, .Geo won the Snap Grand Prix. I don't actually think Valentina goes in this list. I just think it's worth a try to see what bouncing her looks like, to see if it works. And this is the best bounce list that won the tournament. Again, you can have a full breakdown in yesterday's video. So if you think that's interesting, I think that it's worth giving her a look in this list, although I'm not sure if she's actually better than one of the cards that was already there, Falcon in this case. All right, does Valentina look good? I'm pretty sure she goes in Loki. I'm less sure how good she is elsewhere, but if you like Loki, she's probably good. As usual, this is going to be her worst week. She's going to be hard countered. We're going to see a ton of Mobius all week. So she's a buy for me, but as always, check back Friday for the first review. Actually, we're doing a new thing where we do our first review, first impressions from top 100 Marvel Snap players on Thursday. Then Friday, I'll give you my initial impressions should you try and get her for weekend missions. And then Monday will be a last chance review. So I think she's worth it if you like Loki, but you don't have to make a decision right now, so please don't. All right, our next spotlight card is Blob. He is a Series 5 card, 6,000 tokens. He was December's most broken card, and then he was nerfed into this 6/0. Merge cards from your deck into this until it gains 15 or more power. Ongoing, can't be moved. He's a lot of power, but he's really hard to build around. His home was Thanos, a Thanos deck like this from our friend R.S. Berry. This was a top 4 Thanos list. It has fallen off a little bit, largely because Loki beats the pants off it. Blob is basically your Loki counter for these lists, but if you don't see it, you have some problems. Especially because it's less consistent. Blob is very good in Thanos. Thanos is very good right now, but we don't have the right Thanos build. I'm convinced we will get to that right Thanos build. I'm pretty sure that right Thanos build will have Blob in it. I think it might have Ravonna in it, but that's neither here nor there. So I think Blob will be there, and I think we will get to that right Thanos list with enough time. But it's not there now, so it's hard to recommend that hypothetical. Here's another Thanos list. I promised recently I would show the I think yesterday? No, in a Marvel Snap Zone article that should be live as you're reading this. I promised I would reveal somewhere the Thanos list that I've been playing that I'm really enjoying. This is the Thanos list that I've been playing that I'm really enjoying. I'm, again, pretty sure I might want to do something like with Mobius and Ravonna here, and add Professor X, but again, neither here nor there at this exact moment. Guess what? It's a Thanos list that Blob is in. I'm winning a lot with this list. I think it's very, very. Next up, Darth Tater was a finalist in the Snap Judgments League with this list that has Blob in it. Blob is basically, oh no, I didn't see Infinite. Oh no, I didn't see She-Hulk. Let's just drop a nice 20 power thing. He's very good. He's very strong. He's necessary for this deck. This is your Ravonna Blob, because Ravonna also works with Professor X and it works well. And Pixie Blob is really good. But is this a meta deck? No, it's just a very fun, good deck. So that said, do you want Blob for this? If you really want to try this list, you need Blob, right? But do you need to play this list? Probably not. Next up, we have Gunny T's Bigger, Dumber Idiots. Gunny T's Bigger, Dumber Idiots has often been the best home for Blob in the metagame because it's a list that's ultimately about playing big, dumb stuff. And if you don't draw your big, dumb stuff in the right order, well, that's what Blob is here for. You fundamentally are trying to go something like Crossbones or Cull into Ronin, into Blob or Scar. And then that 2-cost Scar, you can play with Maximus and Armor, or Maximus and Maximus and Armor is the goal, and then you should be set for winning that game. But sometimes your plan doesn't come together and you go, oh no, my Red Hulk and Scar are stuck in my deck. Oh well, 20 power Blob, and then you can win. It's a nice simple deck. This is again our friend Gunny T's deck. Next up, we have Snap Orange's 3-hit kill. This is a Chinese player who updated a Regis Killbin deck. That is basically saying if I can go Super Giant Blob with a bunch of stuff in my deck, or sorry, Super Giant Taskmaster with a bunch of stuff in my deck, then I play Blob. Taskmaster reveals, copies Blob, I win. It's not super complicated. It is very fun. Blob is a very fun card when he goes off. But is he meta? Nope. Not right now. Plus, you might notice, like, most of these decks are really expensive, right? Thanos decks have, you got Jeff, Mobius, Hope, Cull, Mockingbird, Blob, Goliath, Thanos. That's 8. We've got this Darth Tater list, which is Nebula, Pixie, Ravonna, War Machine, Cannonball, Blob, 6. Then we've got Gunny T's, which is actually on the cheaper side, because it's just Cull, Blob, Red Hulk, and Scar, and Gladiator, 5, I guess, not that much cheaper. And then Snap Orange's list is Kyra, and yes, you need Kyra, Hope, Super Giant, Blob, Red Hulk, another 5, right? So like this is not a cheap card. The other card we're going to look at is Null. Null is like a requirement for Destroy. 6/0, Series 4, 3,000 tokens. Has the combined power of all cards destroyed in the game. And he's in 2 real decks. He doesn't really go anywhere else, but those 2 decks are both often in and out of the meta. And if you want to try either of them, you cannot without Null. So the first is the Destroy list. This is the standard Destroy. I just happened to have the one from yesterday's tournament that made the cut out. It's the exact same list you're going to see everywhere. It's not actually Donovan's. Who the hell knows who made the first Destroy list. This list is great. It's obviously always competitive. It always wins a lot of games, especially if you're not like at the top of Infinite. If the opponent isn't prepared and isn't countering it, you just usually win. It's an excellent, excellent list, and it is literally unplayable without Null. Null is the key. You only really need 2 high series cards too to make Destroy work. You need Null and X-23, so if you have X-23, feel free to get Null. Nico is obviously also on the list, but not nearly as important as the other 2 cards. She can easily be replaced by anything from Yondu to Nova to Squirrel Girl. Alright, the other place that Null goes is the BBAK negative deck. BBAK was #1 in February with this list, and then Woody hit #1 this month with it, or ended up #2 with it in March, and like this ended up #2 in March, and Woody ended up hitting #1 with it in April, and this list was just really good. It's not as good right now because it struggles into all the mill stuff everywhere, but like Null is an absolute requirement for this list. You're trying to get negative Null to negative Zola. You can Chong something along the way, so much the better. You can go Null into Mystique if there's a lot of Destroy around and just win that way. There's a lot of ways to win with this. It's an extremely powerful deck that Null is a requirement for. All right, if you want to, final conclusions. If you want to play Destroy, you need Null. You cannot play a tier 1 Destroy deck without him. 2, Blob isn't very important right now unless you want to play Thanos. If you want to play Thanos, that's fine, but you're going to have to do some work to find the right list. You can try the list I have. It works fine, but it's very expensive. I'd assume that if you want to play that kind of list, you already have Blob. If you need Null and have Loki, feel free to open. If you have Null or are missing Loki, I think you need to wait until Friday to make a decision for Valentina. All good? That is the final conclusions. Certain tiers of support on our Patreon come with on-air thanks. I'd like to thank Abigail Giesland, Mandatory Burnout, Cables, David G. Wingfield, Direwolf, LAB, Bothor Newman, Good Dog Gamer, This Is the Way, Inc., Jane Everett, JD McDonaldino, Kertix Lee, Toy Ray, Pyrophoros, The Goat Seeker, Denman Falcon, Doku, Philip Rakovich, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of The Danger Zone, Rob Silverman, Juan Diego Lebed, The Bizza, X-Force V, Skippy G, Snap Judgments League Season 1 champion Tommy Nyquist, Black Dahlia, The Great Kazoo, Jessica Gamble, Ryan Wood, Kevsey Hoda, Lunacris, Leon Tunez, Mod Supreme Models, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin. Welcome to the group, Brian and Tristan. Fuzzy Dunlop, Spectrumix, Hoot, Matt H., DJ Mikey Hijinks, NoFlex, Ocularis, Craig Sterry, Pretty Chill, Seamus, Spike Jones, Two Ties, The Pirate King Tucker, The Homie Min, and of course Gunny T, where the T stands for have some patience, don't open the new card right away if your resources are limited. Thank you. Alright, that's it for today. No, it's not. That's it for the morning. We will be back as soon as possible with a patch video. We'll see you later on today for some more Snap Take. Check out the Patreon if you're willing. I think you'll enjoy it. Hit that sub, like, comment, show some love. Spread love. It's the Brooklyn way. Peace.